Hi, I'm Geraldine Carl with the Real News Network. This healthcare story is part of a series we are doing to help Americans make better informed decisions about healthcare reform. But we can only do this work with your financial support. The economic crisis has hit us hard. Please become a member today so that we can continue bringing you stories like this.
The unlikely union of Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, or PhRMA, and the White House has many wondering about the true nature of this partnership, especially taking into consideration the powerful lobby's opposition to any kind of healthcare reform for years. Drug makers were the first out of 6 groups to strike a deal with the White House back in June, agreeing to cut their draw by $80 billion over a 10-year period if the legislation passes Congress. As a testimony of their unwavering support, the industry's lobby group is projected to spend $150 million on TV ads in support of the health reform.
A little more cooperation, a little less politics, and we can get the job done this time.
The pharmaceutical companies in this country make, bar none, the biggest profit margin of any industry on the planet. And it's a huge troubling factor that they're so closely entwined with this health reform effort. I think a lot of Americans know that when the Part D drug benefit passed on our Medicare program just a few years ago, it did not indeed make things better for cost factors for the Medicare program and for a lot of the people who are getting drugs and services through Part D. Big Pharma makes deals that make Big Pharma money.
In his 2008 campaign ads, Obama denounced Billy Tauzin, head of PhRMA, for blocking Medicare from negotiating for lower drug prices. Tauzin, one of co-founders of the House Blue Dogs Coalition, crossed over to the Republican side in '95.
The pharmaceutical industry wrote into the prescription drug plan that Medicare could not negotiate with drug companies. And you know what? The chairman of the committee who pushed the law through went to work for the pharmaceutical industry making $2 million a year.
In their last week's article, Los Angeles Times reports that Tauzin said he carefully negotiated his agreements with the White House, offering the $80 billion discount program in return for assurances that there would be no government price setting in Medicare Part D, the Medicare prescription drug coverage for seniors.
They talk about they're going to hold costs down. Maybe they're going to shave off a few $1 billion here over the next 10 years and $1 billion there. But that's a drop in the bucket in comparison to what they will gain by having a purchase insurance mandate that would make every American citizen purchase coverage that would allow them to buy the drugs that Big Pharma will not be required to negotiate any bulk pricing for or any lower pricing for anyone. So it's a huge windfall for them that if healthcare reform passes, with all of us purchasing coverage through private insurance and bringing those dollars in to buy pharmaceuticals, it's a huge, huge benefit to them.
According to Los Angeles Times, Tauzin also said the industry asked the administration not to allow the import of cheaper drugs because of safety concerns.
Big Pharma, they get a patent on a drug that comes out, and that drug is charged at a certain level that they say reimburses them for the development and all the marketing and all the early portions of getting that drug to market through the FDA and all those kinds of things. But then many of us know they tweak that drug's formula just ever so slightly at the end of that patent agreement, and they get another patent extended for another period of time, again reaping huge profits on the backs of the American people. And sometimes people who desperately need those medications can't purchase them, can't buy them. And if President Obama has already given up the right to negotiate bulk pricing on medications, that is a ridiculous thing to offer on our behalf. We wouldn't want him to do that. If we want to be economical and be fiscally responsible, we negotiate the best deal for the people of this country, not the one that makes Big Pharma the happiest. Walmart is able to offer drugs at a generic price because they negotiate. They buy in such huge quantities. I came from a state, South Dakota, where there were actually bus trips arranged of senior citizens who would get on buses and travel across the Canadian border in order to go up and buy medications at a price they could actually afford, along with being able to pay their housing costs and just live and survive. I mean, how tragic for this country. We say we care about senior citizens, and then to allow those kinds of things to transpire and to say, we have scare tactics about, maybe the drugs aren't as safe that come from another country. We don't watch out for the safety measures as closely. That is ridiculous to think that countries like Canada would allow drugs that were unsafe to be on the market. I mean, it's an insult to the people of Canada and to those systems that have developed very safe processes of their own over time.
Republicans are clearly displeased with political support the White House is getting from industry groups. In a letter to Tausen, Republican Congressman John Boehner scolded him for making a deal with big government. He wrote that appeasement rarely works as a conflict resolution strategy, and that the deal is a threat to PhRMA's groundbreaking medical research and the American people, including PhRMA's customers and the families of PhRMA's employees.
The United States taxpayers already paying for a lot of that research and development through the Institutes of Health, through major institutions, universities, and academic institutions. So it's a fallacy to think that if we were to reform healthcare and hold big pharma down on some of its costs, that we wouldn't have research and development. In fact, other countries are doing quite well with systems in which the public funds the research and the public takes advantage and shares all the information across the board on what happens. And this has been kind of the Obama administration strategy from the beginning, is that you vilify these folks, the insurance industry and the pharmaceuticals, and then you cut deals in secret with them, and then you announce that these deals are such a marvelous find for the American people. It's an interesting strategy, although I don't find it a very elegant strategy or necessarily a very successful one if we look at what's happening with healthcare reform right at the moment. And it's unfortunate because this president is a brilliant politician, and you look at what he's allowing to be sold under his watch, and you think this is such a loss for the nation that we aren't further along in this healthcare discussion, completely celebrating and accepting the fact that healthcare is a basic human right, as he declared during his campaign, and moving forward from that position instead of just moving forward from the position that we want to keep the market in place, including big pharma and the insurance industry.
Hi again, I'm Geraldine Carl with the Real News Network. Over the next few months, we plan to investigate, report and debate the different proposals for American healthcare reform. We will continue our series, Americans Talk to Canadians About Healthcare, and we will broaden that to include the experience with healthcare models in Europe and in other countries. We will be holding town hall debates where people can discuss what kind of reforms will create the best system for Americans. We will do all of this without corporate or government funding. This kind of independent programming is only possible if you become a member of the Real News Network with a tax-deductible donation today. The economic crisis has made things difficult for us, as it has for many others. We need your support if we are going to produce the uncompromising journalism that people need. Please click on the donate button and become a member now. If you are a member, please contribute again. Let us know you want us to continue this work.